everyone, it's Alyssa here back at the library for our craft for August. This is for teens and adults. It's really easy to replicate if you did not get a craft bag. It's a candle, and candles, as we have learned throughout this time, we've made a few, are a lot easier to make than you think. You just need the supplies, so I'm happy to share the supplies with you so you can experiment and learn a little bit about candle making. We are using, as usual, we're using soy wax, which burns very clean. It burns for a long time. It melts really quickly. It's nice. And we're using these cute little candle tins that I found. So cute. And we're making a crystal candle. So today what I have is I just have some fluorite chips. They're not like precious gemstones or anything, but they do say that fluorite has some energy and healing properties for those of you who are really into that and would like to know what fluorite does, especially since you're going to put it in your candle and you're going to burn it and it's going to release that energy or what have you. But they say that fluorite is great for getting rid of negative energy, whether that's stress or just negative energy around you or from you. And it's just supposed to help with your self-confidence. So when we get rid of that negative energy, we can feel more positive, we can feel more confident. That helps us make better decisions, that helps us relax a little bit better. So I have some really pretty fluorite chips that I've included in your kit to put in your candle. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our craft. To get started, I will show you, I already glued my wick into the container, and I'm making a face because I always say you want to put it as close to the dead center as possible so it ensures an even burning all the way around. Mine's a little off center, it's not that bad, but I used hot glue. You can use any kind of strong hold glue, preferably something that is safe to use around an open flame, because that's what this is. So you don't want anything that's too strong of a solvent. So that's why I mean this is really good. Sometimes the hot glue is really good. Sometimes I've also seen people just dip it in the melted wax, and you can just dip this in melted wax and then in here, and that's just fine. But yeah, okay, let's get started. I'll show you what we're going to do. Not that exciting at first. I have my hot plate over here. Pan to the messy room. But I have my hot plate over here. And you can see I have my bottles of fragrance. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on a low heat. It's not a high heat. We don't want it to burn, we don't want it to boil, we're just gently warming it. You'll see that the soy wax melts very quickly. So I'm just gonna pour that in there and let that get started on my hot plate. I am using a pot that is dedicated to soap and candle making. I got it from the dollar store. And once you clean it out, if you haven't seen one of these videos before, once you're ready to clean it out, you fill it with hot water, let that cool. The wax, leftover wax, should rise to the top and be easy to skim out. Whatever residue is left on your pot, hot soapy water, rinse the rest of the waxy, greasy residue away. Make sure you're using really, really hot water. You can't put a lot of it down your drain. Of course, that will cause a clog. So that's why we try to scoop out as much of it as possible, and we use a really hot soapy water and a paper towel or a rag or something to get the rest of the residue out, and then you can rinse it. Genius though, I did see, if you don't have a dedicated pot for this and you don't want to use one of your pots, I mean, at my parents' house, my mom has a potpourri pot, which is always used just for fragrancing the house or whatever. That would work for this as well. I saw one of our lovely community members sent me a picture of preparing the wax for her candle, and absolutely brilliant. She used one of those disposable aluminum baking trays, and she just warmed it up over her stove that way. And then when she was done, she poured the wax into the candle container, and then she was able to just toss that aluminum tray because it was disposable. So smart, so smart. So I have this starting to warm up. Heats up very quickly. We're going to talk about the fragrance that I have for you today. So, one of my favorite fragrances that I use all the time, it's called Rise and Shine. I just went to go look and see what the scent notes are. I don't even think they make it anymore. They must have stopped making it, probably a casualty of 2020. It's so good. It's bright but soft. It's a little citrusy but very clean and not too sweet. And I'm pairing it with this scent that's called Cashmere. And it's very hard to describe. It's very soft, a little powdery, like there's a little vanilla in here, this cashmere scent, but it says there's a little bit of blueberry, freesia, cashmere, and violet. And I think together with the Rise and Shine, it makes a very beautiful, bright, soft scent. So that's the scent that I'm giving you today. You'll have it in your little, oh, I don't have any with me. You have a little amber vial, and that's, you'll just pour that into your wax melted concoction, and that's your scent blend. I had a very fun time trying to come up with my scent blend here. So I'm gonna go check on my wax, which is now completely melted. That was nice and quick and easy. And I'm going to get my dropper and I'm going to mix my scent right on into that. Actually, I'm going to, because I don't already have my scent mixed, and I have to do that, I'm going to put my wax in this bowl and then I'll pour it into here. But you can go ahead and pour your scent right into your melted wax and stir it up on there. If you don't want the fragrance to get into your metal, then you'll do exactly as I'm doing. I'm going to turn my hot pot off. I'm going to pour my wax into this little bowl, and then I'm going to start to blend my scent, and then we'll pour it in here. Super easy. This craft is so easy and so quick. Before this starts to dry up, I'm going to go put hot water, hot water right into my pot so that as it cools down, the wax will be easy to skim from the top. So I'm just going to get a little bit of the Rise and Shine and just a little bit of the Cashmere. This is more forward on the brightness for the Rise and Shine, and then the Cashmere just kind of mellows it out a little bit. I'm just gonna mix it together. I'm just trying to get it all out of my dropper here. Okay. Okay, so I'll bring this down here so you can see I'm gonna pour this in, and we're going to let it set almost completely. You don't want to put the crystals in while it's wet, they're just going to sink to the bottom, so we're going to wait for this to solidify a little bit, and I'll show you how we prepare our wick with our brush or pencil. You've seen me do this before, just to make sure that it doesn't tilt to the side, and then we'll be all good. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, you've seen me do this before, is I'm going to take my paintbrush, pencil, whatever you have around, chopsticks, I'm going to wrap my wick around this. We're going to trim this all anyway when we get to burning our candle. Remember, you are going to trim your wick to about 1/4 of an inch above the wax surface, but tying this tightly, spinning this tightly around here now, again, we want to always try to ensure that our wick is as centered as possible. So keeping this nice and tight and balanced here will prevent the wick from, as we pour it in, going kind of like this way or that way. You're not going to have even burning. So we just want to make sure everything's nice and even. So I have this little paper disposable bowl. I'm going to kind of turn it into a little funnel and just pour my delicious smelling, not delicious, but beautiful smelling wax right on into my tin. Let's see, it's trying to go this way, so I'm just going to resettle that. There we go. So that's it. So now it's just going to sit and let it start to harden. And you will see it will start to turn opaque in a little bit, and that's when we'll come back and add our fluorite chips. Okay, so while this is drying, I will note that I do have some leftover wax in this bowl that didn't pour in completely and kind of pooled at the bottom. Keep this. Keep a little reserve of wax because it's going to help us when we're ready to pour, ready to place our stones. What we'll do is we'll let the candle dry almost completely, and then we'll warm this up a little bit. We'll just warm it up just so it's just liquid, and then I'll pour that on top. So I'll have a layer that's almost completely solid, and then I'll have a layer that's pretty liquidy, and I'll let that dry just a few minutes, no more than 5 minutes, and that will be still pretty liquidy, but it'll be solid on the bottom and solid around the edges. So you'll see it's not going to sink down to the bottom as if it were completely liquid into the entire way through. So I'll show you how to do that as well. I did almost forget to say, keep a little bit of wax reserve here in your bowl because it will help. Okay, so as you can see, we are now very opaque. We've got a film along the edges, and I still have some liquid in the center. So it's mostly dry. My container is still a little warm, but it's not hot, so I can go ahead and handle it now. I have a couple of my fluorite chips right here. So I'm going to test it out here and put some in here. Now that it's mostly solid. There we go. Okay. All right. Right, if this were totally liquid, it would just kind of go straight down to the bottom, but this is pretty much dry except for just the very last little bit, and these are sticking in really nicely as soon as they go in. They're kind of drying, so you know, think about your placement, be careful with your placement, place wisely. I like to do a little asymmetry, so I'm only going to do on one side, but you can do around the whole edge. You can do whatever you would like. Yeah, it sinks in just a little bit, which is nice. There we go. And I have a scissor right here to go ahead and cut my wick very carefully. That's it! Look at my candle! That's it. That is how you make a crystal candle. Okay, so that's it. That's our crystal candle. It smells so good. This was a great combination. I didn't know what I was gonna do when I originally said I have to come up with a scent that is great for a crystal candle, a crystal scent. And it dried pretty quickly. It is warm out, as you can tell. I ditched my sweater. It is very warm today. but there's good circulation in this room, so it didn't take that long to dry. I would say about 45 minutes before I warmed up the other layer and put it on top. And now that one it's been about 10 minutes and it's almost dry. I still am not going to touch it, but yeah, so it doesn't take that long to dry and solidify. Still a little warm on the bottom, but now you can handle it. Remember to trim your wick to about 1/4 of an inch above your wax, so mine still needs to be trimmed a little bit before I burn it. But I love this matte black metal container. I love how it makes the colors of the stones totally pop. I love that citrus kind of smell with a little bit of vanilla, cashmere, and berry and floral. It's such a great scent, and I think that really honors the energy of the crystals. So there it is. There's my crystal candle. As you can see, it is still a little liquid, and I am kind of sloshing it around so I can show you, but I do love it. And it makes a nice gift too. Look at that. You can put the lid on and it makes a nice gift, or you can just put it away and it looks really nice and contained when you put it away. But the crystals are the real special part right here. Okay, so that is it for this month. I hope that you enjoy your crystal candle. I hope you love the scent as much as I do. So easy to make, so fun, and it smells great. I cannot wait to burn this one. It's gonna look so good. All right, everyone, that's it for me for today. I'll see you next time. Bye.